Thank you. We will now call to order the EPSB meeting for August 15th. We'll begin with our mission statement. The Education Professional Standards Board, in full collaboration and cooperation with its education partners, promotes high levels of student achievement by establishing and enforcing rigorous professional standards for preparation, certification, and responsible and ethical behavior of all professional educators in Kentucky. On July 18th, Governor Beshear issued Executive Order 2022-414, appointing Corinne Murphy to the EPSB to represent public post-secondary institutions. Leah Sharp from the Office of Legal Services will administer the oath to Dr. Murphy to swear her into the EPSB. Ms. Sharp, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Chair Mitchell. Ms. Murphy, I will ask you to raise your hand and I will read the oath in its entirety and then ask you to swear or affirm at the conclusion. I do solemnly swear or affirm, as the case may be, that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this Commonwealth and be faithful and true to the Commonwealth of Kentucky so long as I continue a citizen thereof, and that I will faithfully execute to the best of my ability the office of board member of the Education Professional Standards Board according to law, and I do further solemnly swear or affirm that since the adoption of the present Constitution, I, being a citizen of this state, have not fought a duel with deadly weapons within this state, nor out of it, nor have I sent or accepted a challenge to fight a duel with deadly weapons, nor have I acted a second in carrying a challenge, nor aided or assisted any person thus offending, so help me God. Ms. Murphy?
I do so swear.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to the EPSB, Dr. Murphy. If you don't mind, if we'll just take a few moments to introduce yourself to the other members here of the board.
Sure. Thank you, Chair Mitchell, and good morning, everyone. I appreciate the opportunity to join you in service to our education profession. Clearly now is a critical and difficult time for all. So I'm Corinne Murphy. I joined Western Kentucky University as the Dean of the College of Education and Behavioral Sciences and Professor of Special Education in 2018. Prior to joining WKU, I was a professor of special education at Westchester University, just outside of Philadelphia, which is also a teacher's college. It started as a normal school. My area of emphasis is autism, working with individuals birth through adulthood on functional and communication skills, and have previously served as a director of a nonprofit serving that community as well. It's a pleasure to be with all of you today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Murphy, and we are excited to work with you. At this time, Sharon Chesser joins us today as board secretary. Ms. Chesser, thank you for joining us. Please call the roll.
Good morning. Amanda Ellis.
Amanda Ellis, present.
Susan Reber. Diane Berry.
Diane Berry, present.
Elijah Edwards.
Elijah Edwards, present.
Kathy Gunn.
Kathy Gunn, present.
Tracy Hunt. Jacqueline Mayfield.
Jacqueline Mayfield, present.
Corinne Murphy.
Corinne Murphy, present.
Meredith Pittman.
Meredith Pittman, present.
Amber Snell.
Amber Snell, present.
Wade Stanfield. Julian Vasquez, High League.
Julian Vasquez, High League, present.
Timothy Wooster. Vice Chair Weedman.
Sarah Weedman, present.
Chair Mitchell.
Justin Mitchell, present.
We have quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Chesser. This morning, Commissioner of Education and Chief Learner Jason Glass joins us as Executive Secretary to the EPSB. I will now recognize Commissioner Glass to provide his report.
Thank you, Chair Mitchell. Good morning, members of the EPSB. It's great to see all of you, and thank you for your service on this board and everything you do. I know that you're busy professionals. This board is made up of working practitioners by design, and I know that creates complexity with the jobs that you have. in your full-time roles. So we are very grateful that you take the time to do this. And it's just really important for the state of Kentucky. And I just want you to hear from me how grateful we are that you're serving in these roles. I'll keep my remarks brief. I know that you've got a busy agenda ahead of you. We've got schools starting all across the state last week and this week, and then they'll be firing up just as we go over the next couple of weeks to moving toward Labor Day weekend. Seems like a pretty smooth start of school around the state. One of the things I've talked about is this, but has the potential to be our first undisrupted year of learning, relatively undisrupted year of learning since the 2019-2020 school year. So, of course, with all the disruptions that we had with COVID, the starts and stops, we're in a different place than that now. COVID is now in an endemic phase, meaning that it's everywhere. But it's also become manageable in that we have widespread vaccinations available, and that the variations of it that are passing around are much less dangerous than the earlier ones. So it's part of life on Earth now. It's something that we're going to have to figure out how to navigate going forward. But it seems to be a pretty smooth start of school. I'm not hearing a lot of reports of disruptions related to illness. I am hearing, of course, disruptions related to the start of school in Eastern Kentucky related to the flooding that happened there. We've been meeting on a weekly basis with flood impacted districts to talk about what are some of the things that they need and what supports they have. I think the most impacted counties include Letcher, Breathitt, Perry, and Knott County. And then there are some other counties that have had other impacts, but not quite as severe. Leslie, Floyd, Fleming. So there, I'm sorry, not Fleming. The Fleming Neon area has been impacted. So, but those four counties I would characterize as the most impacted in terms of school operations. This is a different disaster than the tornadoes that happened in December, and that while both of them were absolutely devastating to the communities that are impacted, in the tornadoes, we really didn't have significant damage to schools. In fact, the schools were able to serve as sort of resource and rescue operations hubs and places where a lot of materials could be stored for communities, because they were some of the few large standing buildings left standing in the wake of the tornadoes. With these flood impacted districts, we have schools that are directly impacted. The Buckhorn School, the Robbins Elementary, Knott County Central High, several schools in Letcher County, to name a few. The superintendents in those areas are working toward reopening. They've gotten more clarity over this past week around are they going to be able to mitigate the flood damage that's in the school, or are they looking at more structural changes that are necessary? If there are structural changes that are necessary, then another conversation comes back in to, do we wish to rebuild or reestablish a school in that same location? Given that because of shifts in climate and the severity of weather, are we likely to have other flood impacts on a more frequent cycle? So there are questions like that these communities are also wrestling with. And of course, any conversations around closing or moving schools are contentious conversations. There's a lot of emotion and history invested into any school. And so the decisions around moving or closing or consolidating any of those are really difficult questions for any community to be going through, especially one that's been also doubly impacted by these natural disasters. We are seeing plans for schools to get open. Most of them are shooting for somewhere around Labor Day. Some are having to go later than that. Mostly that's because of utilities in the community. The mitigation work seems to be coming along nicely, but some communities still are having wastewater problems or road access problems. There's really a grab bag of different challenges depending on the community that we're talking about, but they're all working desperately to try and get open. They know how important it is for school to be open, and these communities want to be open and serving their kids, but they've got a variety of challenges to face with that. We've worked to connect them with Kentucky Emergency Management FEMA, lots of philanthropy and donations and local resources that have come in, support from around the state and other districts and co-ops. So these communities have told me that they're really grateful for all the support that they've received, but they've got a long way to go. In some cases, it's going to be inch by inch, especially when you think about the devastation to towns and homes that will really may take years for us to fully understand the impact of that. We will meet with them next week. I think this week, and the focus will largely be on the policy side. We are expecting a special session to be called to provide some relief in different forms to these flood impacted communities, possibly some additional relief to our tornado impacted communities as well. And so we're going to talk some about what is it that they need in terms of stability and flexibility and funding. What supports can they get from the legislature in things that they are not able to handle either locally or with federal assistance. So we'll be working on that. Shifting gears, I wanted to update you on the State Board of Education. The State Board had its retreat and work session a couple of weeks ago at Lake Cumberland State Park. We had 2 great days of work there. The first day of that was really spent thinking about the future of education, some of the shifting trends, how education is being asked to change because the world is rapidly changing and adapting, and how the structure and experience of the structure of schools and the experience of students will also have to change to follow those trends that are happening globally. One of the things that the board talked about that relates to the EPSB that's a focus of yours is the teaching profession, and particularly a conversation around how we bring people into the teaching profession, what experiences do they have in their training, and what are some of the credentialing processes that we go through as we award a license. One particular focus or area of conversation was around the utility of the praxis exam, and do we feel like it's a good gatekeeper for the teaching profession. We do have in state law that there's a requirement around there be some kind of test or assessment as a condition of licensure, but you as the EPSB have a great deal of latitude or flexibility around what that looks like. And so I know I've had some conversations with Dr. Darnell about potential future pathways on this. And I think it would be a great leadership move for the EPSB to consider some alternative to praxis. And we don't want to water down the standard for what it means to be a teacher in Kentucky. We believe teaching is a profession in this state. Not everybody can or should do that. And so there do need to be some gateways in place to keep teaching a profession. So we're not looking to throw open the doors. But I think there are questions around how much confidence do we have that the praxis exam is the gateway that we want to have in place, or one of the key gateways that we want to have in place. And are there other ways that educators could demonstrate early on in their career, early on in their candidacy, competence, that they're ready to step into the teaching profession, that are outside of the praxis? Are there performance-based demonstrations, other kinds of assessments that we might use to get at that question? So that's something that I put before you to consider and think about. I wanted to report back to you that the state board had talked about it and thought about it, and this squarely falls within the authority that EPSB has to consider. I think it's an exciting possibility, and I think if we can create some different pathways without lowering the bar, I think that's in the spirit of Kentucky's tradition of honoring the teaching profession, and I think going forward the right policy move. With that, I think it is my responsibility. Let me check here. My responsibility now to recognize Amanda Ellis from the Council on Post-Secondary Education for her report. Dr. Ellis.
Thank you so much. I will just share a few updates. It is back to school time also for many of our post-secondary institutions gearing up for move-in. It's great to see everything rallied around students moving in. I do want to give props to our institutions who opened their doors early for Eastern Kentucky students that were incoming to provide them a dry place and a safe place to move into, especially during this really tough time. So I really appreciate that. We appreciate that. I know their families do. And even seeing one student interviewed last week, we were at a restaurant and a news group had interviewed this girl and everything. She lost everything and was so grateful to be able to move into her dorm and have a place to call home. And the fact that we have our institutions of higher education to provide that support to me is just pivotal. It's essential. So I want to say thank you because I know the education team from preschool through higher ed always rally together to support families and communities. And so that's a big deal. There are a few things going on at CPE that I'll just briefly mention. As you all may know, we had a healthcare workforce collaborative that was developed to really focus in on that part of the workforce in the pipeline. It was a $10 million appropriation by the General Assembly. And so there's an advisory group that has just kicked off their work to look at long-term and short-term strategies around the healthcare workforce. We have the Innovative Scholarship Pilot Program. So CPE and KIA announced a new scholarship pilot program designed to support undergraduate students displaced by crisis in their home countries. And so this is funded another $10 million by our General Assembly. It will make financial assistance available to traditional or non-traditional age documented foreign national students who have received U.S. asylum. So this is something that they've just started. I know many of our campuses have been asking lots of questions and ways that they can use these dollars to help assist students. It's fairly new. And so we're working closely with other states who have done this as well. And so really excited for the opportunity to see how this is going to work. We also have in partnership with KDE, you may have seen to promote One Goal and offer this to our districts for a couple of years. One Goal is a group a partnership with the districts that actually work with school and district leadership around building a culture around future planning for students. So career exploration, post-secondary opportunities, not just 4-year traditional, it could be 2-year, whatever it takes to get students to the career aspirations, but helping them to design what that is and really making that a part of the culture for all students. And so we had openings for up to 15 districts to join for the next 2 years to be provided coaching and support to really evaluate where their districts are currently and then how to move forward. And so as of last week, I knew before the deadline, which the deadline's today, we had 11 districts already signed on. I did not get the final count, and that was a midweek. And so really grateful for the districts who are wanting to engage in that. We also have going on the Kentucky Advising Academy that was developed out of the Continuum based on the needs for advising, and that has kicked off and done well with podcasting and webinars. They're getting ready for their face-to-face roadshow, I would say, or how are we going to do it by regions to really address the regional needs of the districts and meet folks where they are to really help them build capacity around helping students think about their future and how to plan accordingly. And not for those who are going to go anyway, for the all, and to see worthiness and opportunities that are out there. So lots of great work. There's so many other things on this list that I could go on, but I have seen the agenda for today, and so I will keep it there. And I'm very grateful, obviously, for our new member too with Dr. Murphy, as she is also a part of our continuum, and I know will be another great connection with the EPSB and the education continuum that will help connect dots and help us move where we want to go. So I think, Dr. Glass, I may turn it to Dr. Darnell or back to you. I'm not for sure. I apologize.
Yes, and I think so. Let's go right to Dr. Darnell. Thank you, Dr. Ellis.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. It's great to see you. It's great to see the complement of individuals that we have on the meeting today, given some conflicting schedules that we've been dealing with over the past few months, which is not uncommon. But in saying that, I just want to be sure that I'll lead with my expressing my gratitude to each of you. As Dr. Glass mentioned, I know that everyone has a lot of other responsibilities, but you serving on this board and serving the educators across our state that in turn serve our students is just extremely important, as you all know. And but I do recognize it is an impediment on already busy schedule. So I just give you my gratitude for continuing to be here. Also, I'll welcome Dr. Murphy to the board as well, and certainly she will bring wonderful experience and expertise to the conversation. And so, just extremely honored to work with each and every one of you. Just a few things that I'd like to highlight for you this morning. I would like to start from our Division of Educator Recruitment division and talk just a little bit about, since Praxis was brought up, some Praxis support that was put in place, which is now through the Kentucky Academy for Equity and Teaching, that replaced what was formerly known as the Minority Educator Recruitment and Retention Scholarship. So MER, as it is often known, ceased in 2017, and now KATE, the new acronym, has taken over those efforts in order to also be in compliance with the OCR case that brought the end to MER. So just let me see if I can get to share here briefly. And is it working there?
Yes.
Okay, good. It's always odd on this end because you can't always quite tell if it's playing or not. But we have had some great success with the Praxis support, and so this has come with the creation of KATE that is also in partnership with CPE and our wonderful partners, and it has certainly a whole host of factors that encompass the work, but one of these would be the Praxis support for individuals that can apply to receive financial assistance. And so essentially, in partnership with the Central Kentucky Educational Cooperative, this allows an opportunity for Praxis reimbursement, tutoring to assist in preparing to take and sometimes retake Praxis assessments, and mentorship. So this again gets at the heart of just doing everything that we possibly can within the confines of our finances in order to provide a level of support for candidates. This is it is done on a multi-factored application. So since the conclusion of the MER scholarship, it is a broader series of factors that students have to indicate, and in the application it will lead to a decision on support and reimbursement. However, just to give you some scope about this program and how it is operating, certainly we strive and need to continue to diversify our educator workforce in Kentucky, nationally as well. It is just something that is desperately needed. We know that we are overwhelmingly tilted as far as representation is in schools, predominantly white, but we have an effort to serve individuals that are coming from more diverse backgrounds. And while again, this certainly isn't going to show a significant change in what we probably already know as far as representation in our schools and our candidates, but it does give you a little idea. We do see some uptick coming from a level of diversity, and that is that is the goal, most definitely. So just sharing the efforts of the intent behind this program, and certainly we are very honored to work with CPE and CKEC to do this. And so just to give you just a broad sense of what is occurring, and I can, let me get back to releasing my screen here. All right, there we go. We have 46 recipients that have received funding through this to date, and happy to say that 30 are now certified in teaching. It's just wonderful that we are seeing success in this program, and I want to give my appreciation for our Division of Educator Recruitment and Development for overseeing this and bringing a degree of success to it and getting some momentum in the diversity of applicants that are coming through. Also want to just give due credit to our certification division. This has been an extremely busy time of year. They are working tirelessly to make sure we are meeting the requests that are coming in, the applications, and the volume is pretty incredible. So just to give you a little bit of scope, in June, there were 3,589 certificates completed, issued, if you will. In July, there were 4,282 certificates issued. And then in August, there were 3,867 to date. So there's significant volume coming through our certification division, and I just want to give my appreciation to the hard work that they are putting in. We moved to KEX, the Kentucky Educator Credential System, back in May. This is a brand new platform, and so while with anything new, there are going to be hiccups and sort of glitches getting moving. But it's building momentum. It's not perfect by any means, but it's definitely picking up and getting smoother as people just get more familiar on the end user. A lot of the functionality of it from the end user is still similar to the old system. It just looks different. And so anytime there's a different look, it just it creates problems. It's not what people are familiar with, but they've done an excellent job. And I can just assure you, I receive a lot of positive feedback from just the level of care and attention that the certification specialists give in serving our educators and educators to be. So the volume in comparison is staying steady, mostly compared to 2021, but it is outpacing 2020 and 2019. So productivity has largely gone up significantly. And then this particular new program will also lead to that because there are a lot of automatic renewals that take place, which will eliminate some of the human labor that has to be focused on something that can just be done automatically. And then also some of the functions that we'll begin implementing soon will be so notifications to individuals when your certification is coming due, which I know for me would be very handy to get a notification since it's on a 5-year rotation. It's quite easy to just forget. And all of a sudden, wait a minute, when am I due to renew this? So this system is meant to operate in a modern fashion like most of us do. We get notifications to say, hey, your certification is due to be renewed by June. So hopefully we can just get some more modern functions in there too that we've kind of become accustomed to just in our world at large. And then certainly want to give credence to or praise to our legal team as well. They have just worked diligently to get us out of any excess backlog cases. And they too have worked very tirelessly to bring everything as up to date as possible. Certainly not all cases are able to be resolved because of other lingering legal conditions, but they are absolutely up to date as much as possible. And when I meet with them, we are talking about current, recent year cases. And so I just think that is a wonderful job that they're doing to keep everything flowing and current and not get into a long backlog of old cases. Then finally, just an update for the P3 team. That is our administrative team. It is the only formal statewide service to administrators that we have. I say they are small but mighty, and I just want to give a shout out to them. They receive lots of praise for their initial certified evaluation training. In fact, receiving a lot of requests for more of those. They've also been able to begin doing those in person as well. So we are offering virtual and online. And then they are also working with cognitive coaching cohorts that continue to operate around the state and improve the level of coaching for approximately 15 administrators at a time per year. So just giving recognition to this team of people. They are outstanding. It's an honor to work with them, and it's an honor to be here with you today. I would like to build on what Dr. Glass said with regard to the praxis in the conversation that he mentioned. With your blessing, if you will, what I would propose, or what I would like to propose from you all, is to, not that anyone really wants another committee and or task force or advisory, but I do feel it is prudent to gain input from a membership of this particular board and other representation as well. But what I would like to propose is to put together an advisory to examine the state of praxis in Kentucky. And what I would like, I guess, from my mind's eye, is that an opportunity to create a choice for our candidates. So if I'm a candidate and I want to take praxis, I can choose to take praxis and go that route. But I do feel that we would be doing justice to our education if we also looked at a performance-based, say, example. So therefore, if I am the candidate, I have a choice. But that needs to come from the body here and representation. So if that is acceptable to the board, and we can define that, and perhaps Chair Mitchell and Vice Chair Weidman can give me the go on this. But what I'd like to do is convene that this fall. I don't think it has to be, anything long and drawn out, but we can look at the current trends in the praxis and the test taking that's current as we know it, and then also look at options for what an alternative to praxis would be. And then ideally come back to this board to make the recommendations to say, we've looked and examined, and this is what we would like to pursue. So I will certainly continue to work with this board and try to see what the best way is to move that forward. But that is something I would like to propose and for you all to consider. So I appreciate you all greatly, and I thank you, and I will stop talking at you today.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Darnell. Just a few comments from myself. One, I'm thankful, just as you mentioned, for the staff of OELE, staff of EPSB, the legal team, all the work that they have put in. Summer months is really busy for them, so I'm thankful for all of that. One is I am hopeful that we can, I know our summer was difficult for us to get a retreat in, and so I'm hopeful that maybe that is something that we can, as a board, come together to do a retreat. I know there's a lot of things that we would like to talk about and sort of propel. What is our vision for this board? I think praxis can definitely fall into that. I will just say I think I'm okay with looking at praxis personally, but I do want to make sure that our mission statement says that we are to enforce rigorous professional standards for preparation and certification. So I just want to make sure whatever we look at is definitely falling in line with our mission statement there. And so I think that is something to look at. But at the end of the day, I think that we need to to get more educators into the workforce. I think it comes back to pay. I think it comes back to being treated like professionals as society. So I think there's a lot of things we can look at. I'm good at being innovative at that, but still keeping those high standards there. And then I just excited about the new school year, and think all of the people that are on that are either in the education prep areas or in the classroom. So I'm sitting in my classroom ready for open house this evening, getting ready. So I know that it is a start of a new year for many of us. And so I'm excited for that, and especially for our brand new teachers who will be starting this fall. So that's my report. Dr. Vasquez-Hiley, you have something? I saw your hand raised.
Yes. First, let me just thank you, Justin and Sarah, and all the other classroom teachers on the call. It's back to school, and thank you for your service to the Commonwealth. You really are the compass of our democracy, and we appreciate your work. I wanted to quickly circle back to Mr. Darnell. Two quick questions, and then one comment. First was you had talked about the praxis, a praxis workshop. I don't know if that's exactly how you framed it. Who would be eligible for that praxis workshop?
For the praxis reimbursement and assistance program?
Yes.
Yes, it is. There's an application. Anyone can apply. It's because of the the lawsuit that came down from OCR. It really sort of complicated the minority educator recruitment efforts as defined by that case in 2017. But it is primarily a needs-based application. So there are many questions that if I'm applying, I'm going to respond to. And so there's essentially, it is on a scale of particular needs, financial, economic background, a host of information that I will provide in the application. So, but it is open to anyone as far as application is concerned.
Okay, and then will we get a link or a process locations so that our students, if they're eligible, can apply?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I'll make sure that that gets sent out so it is available to you. Absolutely.
Wonderful. Two more quick things. One, I loved your comment about the performance-based example. The praxis is out there. Folks might want to take that. They might be great at the praxis, but I also think that we have to consider the possibility that great teachers aren't always measured by the praxis, and having these performance metrics give us an opportunity to identify great teachers that just might not be good on standardized exams. And I think that that's a real step forward. We know that these exams also have impacted diversity in the profession over the last several decades. So if we're serious about diversity in the profession, we should think about how we do performance assessments that actually measure great teachers outside of a sort of canned, packaged, standardized exam. And then finally, just, I don't know how I did this, but I did think of a teacher quality joke related to your bow tie. I think that is so high quality, it should get its own emergency certification. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir. I certainly reiterate, Chair Mitchell, that it is a profession. We are professionals, and we have to continue to value that as the pride of becoming an educator. And so certainly we've seen, without going down any tangent, we've seen a lot going on out there. And a lot of it is not uplifting. And certainly just my bias is we don't want to do anything to move in that direction. We want to hold the standards. But hopefully, as you mentioned also, Dr. Vasquez-Salas, is that the tests are worth examining. And what we're asking our students and candidates to do in order to become a teacher. And I think there are viable and rigorous options aside from just solely taking the standardized test route that we have.
Vice Chair Weidman?
I just wanted to chime in and say that I'm excited about the opportunity to look at our practice exams and maybe find alternate routes, not only because we should be looking into additional options to move towards more performance-based or competency-based, but a huge barrier for people is cost. And the practice exams we know are really expensive. So if we can find alternate routes that would get people to demonstrate quality and competency, but reduces the cost, I think that's a great thing that we can do for our profession to support people financially and hopefully allow others to join our profession.
Thank you both for that. I don't think I see any more hands. I don't want to cut anyone off here, but I know we will have some time at the end as well for board comments. Dr. Murphy, I'm sorry.
Well, as we're looking at all of these things, I think one of the areas that we could also add into this conversation, very related, would be the alignment of certification structure with the workforce within the state. And so when we talk about our teachers and we have areas of very significant need that could be addressed through some certification assessment and alignment. So just wanting to, if we're going to look at this, I think adding that into the conversation would be an opportunity.
Great, thank you. And I think for all three there, and myself included, that I think that just goes to show we have a lot to talk about, and that I really hope that we can get a retreat this fall where we are looking at these things and we have more, and we actually can see each other face to face and have these conversations. So if you see a date come out in the fall, please try to make arrangements in your schedule to be able to make that retreat as much as possible. All right, I believe I don't see any more hands. We're going to move on to our consent items. The following items are listed on the agenda as consent items. A, approval of July 11th, 2022 EPSB meeting minutes. B, a board approval for the Kentucky Education Association online courses for poverty-informed care and trauma-informed classroom management. And C, 2022-2023 emergency non-certified school personnel program. Are there any requests to remove any items from the consent agenda? Having received no requests to remove from the consent agenda, can I have a motion to approve consent items A through C?
Jacqueline Mayfield.
Amber Snell.
All right.
I make a motion to accept the consent items.
All right. I'll take Ms. Snell for the motion, and Ms. Mayfield, do you give approval for the second?
Yes, I second.
All right, thank you. The motion before the board is to approve consent items A through C. As this meeting is being conducted via video teleconference, we will have a roll call vote for each vote. Ms. Chesser will call the roll. I would like to remind each board member to please state their name, pause for a moment, and then state their vote. Ms. Chesser, please call the roll.
Diane Berry.
Diane Berry, approve.
Elijah Edwards.
Elijah Edwards, approve.
Amanda Ellis.
Amanda Ellis, approve.
Kathy Gunn.
Kathy Gunn, approve.
Jacqueline Mayfield.
Jacqueline Mayfield, approve.
Corinne Murphy.
Corinne Murphy, approve.
Meredith Pittman.
Meredith Pittman, approve.
Amber Snell.
Amber Snell, approve.
Julian Vasquez Heilig.
Julian Vasquez Heilig, abstain.
Vice Chair Weidman.
Sarah Weidman, approve.
Chair Mitchell.
Justin Mitchell, approve.
Voting is complete.
Thank you, Ms. Chesser, and the motion passes. Moving to the action items, these items are presented to the board for action and will require a motion for a vote and a vote. Action item A is presented by Cassie Trueblood.
Good morning. Action item A is part of the EPSB's ongoing regulation review. KRS Chapter 13A requires that the board review their regulations every 7 years to avoid expiration. In reviewing those regulations, staff is going to look to make sure that they align with current processes as well as with the laws that are out there. If the board wants for a regulation to remain in effect as is, they would certify it. Or if they're wanting to amend it, then they would certify with the intent to amend. When you certify a regulation with the intent to amend, it requires that the board file an amendment to that regulation within an 18-month period. Any regulation that is certified as amend would have to come back before this board to approve those amendments. You are the ones that ultimately make the amendments to the regulations. What I have for you today are all of the regulations that are set to expire during the current school year. There are 8 of those, and staff has recommended that the board certify all of these with the intent to amend. So you would see the amended regulations at future future meetings. I will note for the majority of these regulations, the reason that we are recommending that you certify with the intent to amend is one, that we do want these regulations to remain in effect. However, they incorporate by reference some certification applications, and the board has moved towards removing those from being incorporated by reference to account for the changes in applications, and simply putting the information that is needed into the regulation, just to allow the ability to change that application form as is needed. Are there any questions about those regulations or the certification process?
All right, hearing none. Thank you, Ms. Trueblood. I will need a motion.
Kathy Gunn, I recommend that we recommend certified to amend all of the action items listed, A through H.
Thank you, Ms. Gunn. Do we have a second?
Elijah Edwards, second.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. The motion before the board is to approve the certification of expiring regulations. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Chesser, please call the roll.
Diane Berry,
Diane Berry, approve.
Elijah Edwards,
Elijah Edwards, approve.
Amanda Ellis,
Amanda Ellis, approve.
Kathy Gunn,
Kathy Gunn, approve.
Jacqueline Mayfield,
Jacqueline Mayfield, approve.
Corinne Murphy,
Corinne Murphy, approve.
Meredith Pittman,
Meredith Pittman, approve.
Amber Snell,
Amber Snell, approve.
Julian Vasquez Heilig,
Julian Vasquez Heilig, approve.
Vice Chair Weidman,
Sarah Weidman, approve.
Chair Mitchell.
Justin Mitchell, approve.
Voting is complete.
Thank you, Ms. Chesser, and the motion passes. Next, we have action item B with an introduction from Todd Davis.
Good morning. Thank you, Chair Mitchell, and good morning to all. Appreciate your time this morning. At this time, I'd like to take an opportunity to provide a brief introduction of our newest OELE team member, which will be bringing you actions items B through G. And at this time, with great pleasure, I want to introduce Dr. Melissa Diebel. Melissa recently joined our team in May, where she will work with both national and state accreditation for our EdPrep programs, as well as provide support for our EdPrep program review processes. Melissa comes to us from Kentucky Wesleyan College, where she served as chair of professional studies, which is comprised of business and education programs. While at KWC, she taught education courses, advised teacher candidates, while she also oversaw program accreditation in both areas. Prior to her work at Wesleyan, she worked in both public and private schools, where she served as a middle and high school English teacher and literacy coach. So with great pleasure, again, I'd like to introduce to you Dr. Melissa Diebel.
Thank you, Todd, and everyone for the welcome. I look forward to working with you all as we move forward. The first item I bring you is action item B. This is a letter of interest to seek accreditation and initial program review from Simmons College. This falls under the regulation 16 KAR 5010, which identifies the requirements needed for a new program to gain approval in moving forward with the development of an education prep program. The existing policy, 16 KAR 5010, outlines the standards for accreditation of educator prep providers and approval of programs. Section 3 of this regulation identifies the developmental process for new educator prep programs. Stage 1 of this process requires the submission of an official letter from the Chief Executive Officer and the governing board of the institution, indicating the institution's intent to begin the development process to establish an EPP. In the action item before you, action item B, Simmons College has submitted a letter notifying the EPSB that it intends to seek approval from this board to develop an initial certification education preparation program for elementary grades P through 5. Additionally, Simmons intends to seek national accreditation through the Association of Advancing Quality in Educator Preparation, or AQUIP. A copy of the letter has been included in your board packet for review. As noted in the letter, Simmons College of Kentucky began in 1879 by the General Association of Baptists in Kentucky, primarily as a liberal arts training institute to train the recently emancipated enslaved persons. Simmons College of Kentucky is an institution of biblical higher education dedicated to educating people through vital academic and professional programs to become productive citizens and agents of change in society.
Thank you, Dr. Diebel, and it's great to have you on board here. So we're excited to work with you. At this time, I will need a motion for action item B.
Jacqueline Mayfield, I make the motion to approve the Simmons College letter of intent to seek accreditation and initial program approval.
Thank you, Ms.
Amanda
Mayfield.
Ellis, I second that.
All right, thank you, Dr. Ellis, for the second. The motion before the board is to approve the letter of intent from Simmons College to seek accreditation and initial program approval. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Chesser, please call the roll.
Diane Berry. Diane Berry. Elijah Edwards.
Elijah Edwards, approve.
Amanda Ellis.
Amanda Ellis, approve.
Kathy Gunn.
Kathy Gunn, approve.
Jacqueline Mayfield.
Jacqueline Mayfield, approve.
Corinne Murphy.
Corinne Murphy, approve.
Meredith Pittman.
Meredith Pittman, approve.
Amber Snell.
Amber Snell, approve.
Julian Vasquez Heilig.
Julian Vasquez Heilig, approve.
Vice Chair Weidman.
Sarah Weidman, approve.
Chair Mitchell.
Justin Mitchell, approve.
Voting is complete.
Thank you, Ms. Chesser, and the motion passes. Next, we have action item C.
Thank you all. Before I introduce the chair of the EPSB's Accreditation Audit Committee, I want to make a brief comment about the regulatory requirement for accreditation and program review. So this concerns action items C through G. 16 KR 5010 identifies the requirements and processes for EPPs to demonstrate evidence of meeting standards for accreditation and program approval. EPPs may pursue state accreditation or national accreditation from an EPSB approved accreditor. So for state only, the existing policy is in accordance with 16 KR 5010, section 2.2. State accreditation is based on the Council for the Accreditation of Educator Preparation, or CAPE standards. All educator prep programs leading to certification or rank change must be reviewed and approved by the EPSB. For national accreditation, the existing policy states that the EPSB has approved the Association for Advancing Quality in Educator Preparation, AQUIP, and the Council of the Accreditation of Educator Preparation, CAPE, as national accreditors for all EPPs. All educator preparation programs leading to certification or rank change must be reviewed and approved by the EPSB. In addition to your state accreditation decision, the AAC also reviews and makes recommendations to the board regarding the approval of all certification programs offered at an EPP. Today, we have 3 institutions that acquired national accreditation and, under the updated regulation, only needed program approval from the state. I will now hand this over to the AAC chair, Dr. Faye Dieters, for her summary of the review and decision process.
Good morning. First, we have action item C, the state-only accreditation site visit for Kentucky Christian University. The visit occurred on September 19th through 21st, 2021. The site visit was conducted virtually due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The state site visitors reviewed the accreditation of Kentucky Christian University's initial programs related to the current 5 CAPE standards, as well as the carryover of 8 previous EPSB issued areas for improvement based on the NCAPE standards in their prior accreditation that were subsumed into the current standards. After the off-site formative review and on-site visit, the state site visitors recommended 1 AFI indicated in your board materials. The EPSB's Accreditation Audit Committee reviews and recommends both state accreditation of the EPP and program approval of every licensure program an EPP offers per KAR 5010. The AAC met on June 15th, 2022, and examined all the materials from the off-site and on-site state accreditation reviews for Kentucky Christian University, as well as their program review documents and presentation at the AAC meeting. The AAC made the following recommendations on the AFIs and stipulations from the site visit report. For Standard 1, no AFIs cited. For Standard 2, no AFIs cited. For Standard 3, no AFIs cited. For Standard 4, retained 1 AFI in Component 4.2. For Standard 5, no AFIs cited. The AAC further recommended the following regarding standards met or not met. Standard 1, met. Standard 2, met. Standard 3, met. Standard 4, met with AFIs and or stipulations. Standard 5, met. Based on the above, the AAC's recommendations to the board are 1, accreditation, and 2, approval of the initial level educator preparation programs at Kentucky Christian University.
Thank you so much. At this time, I will need a motion. Do I have a motion for action item C?
Elijah Edwards, motion to approve action item C.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. Do I have a second?
Diane Barry.
Amber Snell, second.
I think I heard Diane Barry first with the second. The motion before the board is to approve the accreditation and approve the initial educator programs at Kentucky Christian University. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Chesser, please call the roll. Oh, I'm sorry, Sarah.
I just have a question. So since, because of COVID and you made the virtual visit, when you came back and they had, you know, worked on their improvement plan, whatever, called higher ed program, and you guys met with them again, they gave you a presentation. Has there been a follow-up in-person visit since they've made those changes?
I'm going to defer that to Dr. Diebel.
We have not, as far as I know, we don't do follow-up in-person visits. We're doing everything virtually. Even currently, we're scheduling into this year virtually as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion? All right, hearing none, Ms. Chesser, please call the roll.
Diane Barry,
Diane Barry, approve.
Elijah Edwards,
Elijah Edwards, approve.
Amanda Ellis,
Amanda Ellis, approve.
Kathy Gunn,
Kathy Gunn, approve.
Jacqueline Mayfield,
Jacqueline Mayfield, approve.
Corinne Murphy,
Corinne Murphy, approve.
Meredith Pittman,
Meredith Pittman, approve.
Amber Snell,
Amber Snell, approve.
Jillian Vasquez Heilig, Vice Chair Weedman,
Sarah Weedman, approve.
Chair Mitchell,
Justin Mitchell, approve.
Voting is complete.
Thank you, and the motion passes. Next, we have action item D.
Next for action item D, the state-only accreditation site visit for Kentucky Wesleyan College, which occurred November 14th through 16, 2021. The site visit was conducted virtually due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The state site visitors reviewed the accreditation of Kentucky Wesleyan College's initial programs related to the current 5 CAPE standards, as well as the carryover of one previous EPSB issued area for improvement based on the NCAPE standards and their prior accreditation that were subsumed into the current standards. After the off-site formative review and on-site visit in fall 2021, the state site visitors recommended multiple AFIs across standards 1, 3, 4, and 5, as indicated in your board materials. The AAC met on June 15, 2022, and examined all the materials from the off-site and on-site accreditation reviews for Kentucky Wesleyan College, as well as their program review documents and presentation at the AAC meeting. The AAC made the following recommendations on AFIs and stipulations from the site visit report. Standard 1 retained 1 AFI in component 1.2. Standard 2, no AFI cited. Standard 3, removed 1 AFI in component 3.4. Standard 4, retained 1 AFI in 4.2, reword and retained 1 AFI in 4.3, removed 1 AFI in 4.4. Standard 5, retained 1 AFI in each component of Standard 5, including 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, 5.4, and 5.5. The AAC further recommended the following regarding standards met or not met. Standard 1, met with an AFI. Standard 2, met. Standard 3, met. Standard 4, met with AFIs. Standard 5, met with AFIs. Based on the above, the AAC's recommendations to the board are 1, accreditation, and 2, approval of the initial level educator preparation programs at Kentucky Wesleyan College.
Thank you. Is there a motion for action item D?
Amber Snell, I make a motion to accept action item D.
Thank you, Ms. Snell. Is there a second?
Jacqueline Mayfield, I second.
Thank you, Ms. Mayfield. The motion before the board is to approve the accreditation and approve the initial educator programs at Kentucky Wesleyan College. Is there any discussion? Dr. Ellis.
Thank you. Sorry. This is something I think just as a note, Chair Mitchell, if we can add this to our retreat, because I think this would need some work on all of us understanding, probably those of us who are not in ed prep, to make good sound decisions. And, you know, I have a lot of concerns with the report out and appreciate the efforts to improve. There's always continuous improvement, and I'm a huge believer in that. But just if we can note that is something for us to learn more about, to make sound decisions and how we evaluate and consider our vote, if that's okay.
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Any other discussion at this time?
Ms. Ellis, are there concerns like that you think that we shouldn't approve this?
I'll be honest, there's a lot of needed improvement, I guess, a lot of AFIs, and it's just concerning, but I will be honest and tell you, I'm not an expert in this, and I have not gone through that process personally and as a professional, so I don't want to speak out of turn and would gladly welcome our ed prep experts to share. I just kind of get a pause with the amount of insufficient information and just the lack of preparedness for this. I don't know, I get paused because I take great pride in our profession and would expect all the institutions to really understandable. It doesn't have to be perfect, but there just seems to be a lot of areas of growth that just give me pause. But I will be honest and tell you, this is not my area of expertise, and I welcome the growth opportunity. So I appreciate the question.
Any other discussion?
I have a question. So when they have the AFI and they're in the process of approving it, how long is it before there's another follow-up?
So with our currently, if you approve full accreditation, they would have their next accreditation cycle would be 7 years. There are alternatives to that. So accreditation with probation is 6 months to 2 years. It can be set at that. And then obviously then there's not accreditation. Those are kind of the three areas. Faye, did I miss anything? I think those were the three.
That is correct. Yes.
And
So
Dr. Dieters might be able to talk to how they reach their decision as in the audit committee.
Yes, I absolutely would be happy to do that. So accreditation with CAPE is a little bit different than what we were used to with the NCAPE and under the NCAPE standards. So the reason that the Accreditation Audit Committee looked at this institution and a few others prior to this one and decided that we vote for recommendation of approval of the programs and for accreditation is because of the severity of the areas for improvement and the insufficiencies. When an area is so deficient that it is of grave concern and requires immediate intervention, that is designated as a stipulation, not an area for improvement. So yes, the institutional that may have quite a few areas where it's like, yeah, you could approve there, but they're not stipulations, meaning it's not gravely concerning and doesn't need to be addressed necessarily immediately. Definitely needs to be targeted, definitely needs to be worked on prior to the next accreditation visit. But that is why the AAC is making the recommendation that it is today, despite the number of AFIs. There were no stipulations at all awarded on any of the standards.
Thank you for that. That helps a lot.
Yes.
Appreciate the question.
Dr. Murphy, I think I saw your hand raised, but I'm not certain. Oh, I believe you're on mute.
There it is. I did raise it and then I lowered it. Then I was on mute. So here I am again. I'm wondering if, to Dr. Ellis's point earlier, if is a mechanism through which we could pause, receive some additional training as a board around what these sorts of things mean, and then readdress this at the next meeting. And I didn't know if there was a mechanism for that or if that was something anyone wanted to consider doing.
I would need some assistance from Ms. Trueblood on this, but I'm sure that we could possibly do that. I don't know if this matters. I know that we've already approved one earlier within our meeting, so I don't know if that one's already been approved. I don't know how that one would work in this case, but Ms. Trueblood, could you give some assistance here?
Yes, so the board does have the authority to defer anything that is on your agenda for additional consideration. And then we would, as a staff, be happy to, Dr. Dieters, I think we would definitely want to enlist you, but to go ahead and present to the board at another time with additional information on this process and how this works. And give you that additional training. And we can do that regardless of how the board decides to proceed today. So if you decide to defer today, we can move forward with providing you additional information. But if you decide to go ahead and take action today, we will still work to get you that additional information and training. One note of caution for the board in deferring, which again is completely within your ability and authority, is just at this time, these institutions have gone through this process. They have completed everything that has been asked of them. And the Accreditation Audit Committee, which is a committee that this board has created You have nominated these individuals and put them in place to make these reviews and recommendations to you. They have done that, completed that review, and have recommended these institutions for approval and accreditation. So you do have that before you. Again, if you would like to go ahead and approve that today, you can make that motion. If you would like to defer, you do have the ability to make a motion to defer consideration. And then either way, we will work to schedule a date to hopefully get this retreat going so that we can cover a myriad of topics, but we will make this a top priority.
Ms. Trueblood, can any member make an amendment to a motion, or do we need to vote no on the current motion and then do that? Because what I'm sort of thinking is maybe deferring is a little too far, maybe 7 years is a little too far, so maybe we approve with that probation that was mentioned. But I don't know if that puts an undue stress upon the college to have to do that accreditation within a 2-year time frame, or if we can just have them update us on their approval or improvements or what.
Okay, so yes, any individual member, once there has been a motion made, you can make an amendment to that motion. You can ask the individual who has made the motion to make an amendment to the motion as well, and then you vote on the motion that is before you. Additionally, each member has the ability to vote their will. So, for example, if the motion before you is to approve the recommendation and you disagree with that, you can vote no when it comes to the voting, and that will be recorded. It is the majority vote that will win out. When we come to discussing accreditation with probation and conditions, again, I will defer to Dr. Dieters and Dr. Diebel to provide more specifics on that. But I will note that, again, the board does have that ability, but those are reserved for institutions that have not met what these institutions have been found to have met by the AAC and been recommended for. Here, the recommendation is for, and again, it is just a recommendation, but it is for accreditation and approval. The probation is typically reserved for an institution that has not met this level. So you would be kind of putting them at a bit of a disadvantage there. Dr. Dieters, you might be able to say that a little better than I just did. But anything that you all would like to add to that?
No, Cassie, I think that was a good explanation. Yeah, I just wanted to follow up with what I said earlier by saying that when an institution receives an AFI, but the standard is declared met or there are no stipulations, it means that the institution provided evidence that they were doing these things. It's just that the evidence, there may not have been 3 cycles of evidence, or the evidence may not have addressed every single component of that individual component or standard. So that is when we give or recommend AFIs. And that's what I meant by the severity. If there's no or very little evidence, it's going to be a stipulation. It's not going to be an AFI. That's the determination that we're given by the CAPE in the CAPE Accreditation Handbook. So I just wanted to kind of reiterate that. And what Cassie said about this institution met the standards, met all of the standards. There was just sometimes maybe not 3 cycles of evidence, or sometimes maybe not every single part was addressed in the evidence that was provided. But there was a plan for getting that evidence. And they had already reported at the AAC meeting on where they are in terms of follow through with those plans.
Thank you for providing that clarity. And I think, like Ms. Ellis said, we want to hear from the experts about what all this means. So I think that does give clarity that it probably is good to approve as is. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Ms. Weidman.
I just have a question regarding the site visits. I understand during COVID and we're still dealing with some of the remnants of that. What is the plan to get back to doing these approvals and site visits in person?
So CAPE and AQUIP have both pretty much gone to virtual visits. So I imagine that we, in following with the national accreditors, will probably continue to do virtual visits. It's significantly costly, especially to small schools, to do them in person. And so it is more cost efficient, and we can review everything. And I'll let Dr. Dieters jump in. If everything we would need to review, we could review virtually. There's not really, other than maybe seeing the campus, nothing that would be added to an in-person visit versus a virtual visit.
Thank you for that clarification. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't a plan where, maybe 6 months from now, this university might be visited in person and we could get more clarification. So thank you.
Any other discussion? All right, and I will just say, I mean, we have approved, this committee, we've accepted their, them as professionals. So I do want more information on this accreditation process, but I do think at this moment in time that the motion right now before the and you can vote however you so choose, is to approve the accreditation and approve the initial educator programs at Kentucky Wesleyan College. All right. Hearing no other discussion, Ms. Chesser, please call the roll.
Diane Berry,
Diane Berry, approve.
Elijah Edwards,
Elijah Edwards, approve.
Amanda Ellis,
Amanda Ellis, abstain.
Kathy Gunn,
Kathy Gunn, approve.
Jacqueline Mayfield,
Jacqueline Mayfield, approve.
Corinne Murphy,
Corinne Murphy, abstain.
Meredith Pittman,
Meredith Pittman, abstain.
Amber Snell,
Amber Snell, approve.
Julian Vasquez, High League,
Julian Vasquez, High League, abstain.
Vice Chair Weidman,
Sarah Weidman, approve.
Chair Mitchell.
Justin Mitchell, approve.
Voting is complete.
Thank you, Ms. Chesser, and the motion passes. Moving on to action item E.
The AAC also reviews and makes a recommendation to the board regarding the approval of all certification programs offered at an EPP for initial and advanced programs per KAR 5010. In the case of action item E, the AAC met on June 15, 2022 and examined all materials for initial and advanced programs for the University of Pikeville and recommends program approval.
Thank you. Is there a motion at this time?
Sarah Weidman, motion for approval.
Thank you, Ms. Weidman. Is there a second?
Jacqueline Mayfield, second.
Thank you,
Amber
Ms.
Snell, second.
I think I had Ms. Mayfield first. Thank you. The motion before the board is to approve the initial educator programs at the University of Pikeville. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Chesser, please call the roll.
Diane Berry,
Diane Berry, approve.
Elijah Edwards, Amanda Ellis,
Amanda Ellis, approve.
Kathy Gunn,
Kathy Gunn, approve.
Jacqueline Mayfield,
Jacqueline Mayfield, approve.
Corinne Murphy,
Corinne Murphy, approve.
Meredith Pittman,
Meredith Pittman, approve.
Amber Snell,
Amber Snell, approve.
Julian Vasquez, High League,
Julian Vasquez, High League, approve.
Vice Chair Weidman,
Sarah Weidman, approve.
Chair Mitchell,
Justin Mitchell, approve.
Voting is complete.
Thank you, Ms. Chesser. Moving to action item F.
Next for action item F, the AAC met on June 15, 2022 and examined all materials for advanced programs for Spalding University and recommends program approval.
Thank you. And at this time, I will need a motion.
Diane Berry, make a motion, approve.
Thank you, Ms. Berry. Is there a second?
Jacqueline Mayfield, second.
Thank you, Ms. Mayfield. The motion before the board is to approve the advanced educator programs at Spalding University. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Chesser, please call the roll.
Diane Berry.
Diane Berry, approve.
Elijah Edwards. Amanda Ellis.
Amanda Ellis, approve.
Kathy Gunn.
Kathy Gunn, approve.
Jacqueline Mayfield.
Jacqueline Mayfield, approve.
Corinne Murphy.
Corinne Murphy, approve.
Meredith Pittman.
Meredith Pittman, approve.
Amber Snell.
Amber Snell, approve.
Julian Vasquez, Heilig.
Julian Vasquez Heilig, approve.
Vice Chair Weidman.
Sarah Weidman, recuse.
Chair Mitchell.
Justin Mitchell, approve.
Voting is complete.
Thank you. And the motion passes. Next, we have action item G.
Finally, for action item G, the AAC met on June 15, 2022 and examined all materials for advanced programs for Western Kentucky University and recommends program approval.
Thank you. I will again need a motion.
Sarah Weidman, I motion to approve.
Thank you, Ms. Weidman. Is there a second?
Amber Snell, second.
Thank you, Ms. Snell. The motion before the board is to approve the advanced educator programs at Western Kentucky University. Is there any discussion at this time? Hearing none, Ms. Chesser, please call the roll.
Diane Berry.
Diane Berry, approve.
Elijah Edwards. Amanda Ellis.
Amanda Ellis, approve.
Kathy Gunn.
Kathy Gunn, approve.
Jacqueline Mayfield.
Jacqueline Mayfield, approve.
Corinne Murphy.
Corinne Murphy, recuse.
Meredith Pittman.
Meredith Pittman, approve.
Amber Snell.
Amber Snell, approve.
Julian Vasquez, Heilig.
Julian Vasquez Heilig, approve.
Vice Chair Weidman.
Sarah Weidman, approve.
Chair Mitchell.
Justin Mitchell, approve.
Voting is complete.
Thank you, and thank you to Dr. Dieters and Dr. Diebel for joining us this morning and all of the work that you all have done. And congratulations to all the institutions on their accreditation and program approvals. And last, we have action item H, presented by Sharon Salzman.
Thank you. Yes, action item H is the Kentucky Educational Development Corporation in partnership with Western Kentucky Educational Cooperative and Northern Kentucky Cooperative for Educational Services, their continuing education option plan 2 proposal. So they have submitted the plan 2, which would allow educators to pursue and receive rank 1 or 2, depending on the current rank, and grow in their profession. They would do field-based experience, research, approved professional development, KEDC, WKEC, and NKCES's CEO Plan 2 proposal meets the guidelines and includes an introduction, a capstone project, job-embedded professional development experiences, assessment of candidates, and program evaluation.
Thank you. Is there a motion on action item H?
Sarah Weedman, I motion to approve action item H.
Thank you, Ms. Weedman. And is there a second?
Amber Snell, second.
Thank you, Ms. Snell. The motion before the board is to approve the CEO Plan 2 proposal. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Chesser, please call the roll.
Diane Barry,
Diane Barry, approve.
Elijah Edwards,
Elijah Edwards, approve.
Amanda Ellis,
Amanda Ellis, approve.
Kathy Gunn,
Kathy Gunn, approve.
Jacqueline Mayfield,
Jacqueline Mayfield, approve.
Corinne Murphy,
Corinne Murphy, abstain.
Meredith Pittman,
Meredith Pittman, approve.
Amber Snell,
Amber Snell, approve.
Julian Vasquez Heilig,
Julian Vasquez Heilig, approve.
Vice Chair Weedman,
Sarah Weedman, approve.
Chair Mitchell.
Justin Mitchell, approve.
Voting is complete.
Thank you, Ms. Chesser, and the motion passes. The board is now ready to review waiver request KRS 161028-1N provides the board has authority to waive its administrative regulations when a request is submitted by an applicant for certification, a post-secondary institution, or a superintendent of a local school district. When requesting a waiver, the requesting party must submit to the board a written request along with appropriate justification of the waiver. The EPSB staff reviewed the waivers with the EPSB's Waiver Committee during an open meeting immediately prior to this meeting, and the Waiver Committee formulated recommendations. Sharon Salzman and Todd Davis will present the waiver request to the full board, and Waiver Committee member Kathy Gunn will present the committee's recommendation for final action, starting with Waiver A presented by Sharon Salzman.
Thank you. Waiver A is a request to waive the teaching experience requirement for admission to a principal preparation program. The University of Kentucky has submitted the request on behalf of Mara Wooten. She is currently a certified school counselor. She obtained a bachelor's degree in psychology, received her master's degree in school counseling. She then went on to receive an educational specialist degree. She did not obtain a Kentucky teaching certificate and does not have 3 years of teaching experience. She has submitted supporting documentation that includes lesson plans that she has delivered to students and letters of recommendation. UK is requesting a waiver of the admission requirement to admit Ms. Wooten to the principal preparation program. If this waiver is granted, Ms. Wooten also requests that the EPSB accept her school counselor experience to allow her to be issued the principal certificate upon completion of the program.
Thank you. And Ms. Gunn, what is the Waiver Committee's recommendation?
The Waiver Committee reviewed the waiver request and supporting documentation submitted by the University of Kentucky. The committee found exceptional circumstances justifying the waiver. Therefore, the committee recommends that the EPSB grant the waiver.
Thank you, Ms. Gunn. The item on the agenda is for action, and I will need a motion.
Jacqueline Mayfield, I move to approve.
Thank you, Ms. Mayfield. Is there a second?
Diane Barry, second.
Thank you, Ms. Berry. The motion before the board is to approve the teaching experience requirement for admission to the principal preparation program for Mara Leanne Wooten. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Chesser, please call the roll.
Diane Barry,
Diane Barry, approve.
Elijah Edwards,
Elijah Edwards, approve.
Amanda Ellis,
Amanda Ellis, approve.
Kathy Gunn,
Kathy Gunn, approve.
Jacqueline Mayfield,
Jacqueline Mayfield, approve.
Corinne Murphy,
Corinne Murphy, approve.
Meredith Pittman,
Meredith Pittman, approve.
Amber Snell,
Amber Snell, approve.
Julian Vasquez, Heilig.
Julian Vasquez Heilig, recuse.
Vice Chair Weedman.
Sarah Weedman, approve.
Chair Mitchell.
Justin Mitchell, approve.
Voting is complete.
Thank you, and the motion passes. Next, we have waiver B.
Waiver B is a request to waive the 5-year test recency requirement for Maria Cupper. This is submitted by Spalding University. Ms. Cupper took the Spanish Praxis 2 in 2016 and received a passing score. She was issued a temporary provisional certificate and was employed at a private school. In 2018, she graduated with a Master's of Arts in Teaching. However, she did not pursue her professional teaching certificate due to she became pregnant, and then the pandemic further delayed from applying for certification. She recently applied for a teaching position with a public school, and when she submitted her application, she learned that her Spanish Praxis 2 score expired last year. So Spalding University and Ms. Cupper are asking the EPSB to allow her previous Praxis Spanish 2 score to qualify for issuance of the certificate, though it is more than 5 years old.
Thank you. And Ms. Gunn, what is the recommendation from the Waiver Committee?
The Waiver Committee reviewed the waiver request submitted by Spalding University. The committee found exceptional circumstances justifying the waiver. Therefore, the committee recommends the EPSB grant the waiver.
Thank you, Ms. Gunn. At this time, I will need a motion for waiver B.
Elijah Edwards, I make the motion to approve the waiver.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. Is there a second?
Amber Snell, second.
Thank you, Ms. Snell. The motion before the board is to approve the waiver for the 5-year test residency requirement for Maria Cupper. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Chesser, please call the roll.
Diane Barry.
Diane Barry, approve.
Elijah Edwards.
Elijah Edwards, approve.
Amanda Ellis.
Amanda Ellis, approve.
Kathy Gunn.
Kathy Gunn, approve.
Jacqueline Mayfield.
Jacqueline Mayfield, approve.
Corinne Murphy.
Corinne Murphy, approve.
Meredith Pittman.
Meredith Pittman, approve.
Amber Snell.
Amber Snell, approve.
Julian Vasquez Heilig.
Julian Vasquez Heilig, approve.
Vice Chair Weedman.
Sarah Weedman, abstain.
Chair Mitchell.
Justin Mitchell, approve.
Voting is complete.
Thank you, and the motion passes. Moving now to waiver C, presented by Todd Davis.
Thank you. On behalf of Ms. Charlene Kimbrough, Spalding University is requesting a waiver of 16 KAR 3:060, Section 3, which requires a school counselor to complete 3 to 6 additional hours towards a standard counseling program, as well as meet the employment experience requirement as a provisionally certified school counselor for issuance of the standard certificate. Ms. Kimbrough has already completed the 6 additional hours in the standard program. Recently, in 2019, Spalding University has changed their policies regarding recommendations for the provisional counseling certificate. They now recommend candidates upon completion of the 33-hour master's program, which gives a candidate opportunity to use the additional 6 hours towards the future 5-year renewal. Spalding University is requesting that the EPSB allow Ms. Kimbrough to use the additional 6 hours already completed to renew her provisional certificate for another 5 years.
Thank you. And Ms. Gunn, what is the recommendation from the Waiver Committee?
The Waiver Committee reviewed the waiver request submitted by Spalding University. The committee found exceptional circumstances justifying the waiver. Therefore, the committee recommends the EPSB grant the waiver.
Thank you, Ms. Gunn. At this time, I will need a motion for waiver C.
Make a motion to accept waiver C. Amber Snell.
Thank you, Ms. Snell. Is there a second?
Jacqueline Mayfield, second.
Thank you, Ms. Mayfield. The motion before the board is to approve waiver C for Charlene Kimbrough. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Chesser, please call the roll.
Diane Berry,
Diane Berry, approve.
Elijah Edwards,
Elijah Edwards, approve.
Amanda Ellis,
Amanda Ellis, approve.
Kathy Gunn,
Kathy Gunn, approve.
Jacqueline Mayfield,
Jacqueline Mayfield, approve.
Corinne Murphy,
Corinne Murphy, approve.
Meredith Pittman,
Meredith Pittman, approve.
Amber Snell,
Amber Snell, approve.
Jillian Vasquez Heilig,
Julian Vasquez Heilig, approve.
Vice Chair Weedman,
Sarah Weedman, recuse.
Chair Mitchell.
Justin Mitchell, approve.
Voting is complete.
Thank you, and the motion passes. Next, we have waiver D.
Waiver D is for Miss Lauren Kovacs. This is a request to waive a portion of 16 KAR 4:030, which requires out-of-state prepared educators to possess the equivalent certification from the state where the applicant completed his or her preparation program. Ms. Kovacs is a Kentucky teacher certified in the areas of middle school and secondary social studies. She completed her master's in secondary education at Indiana University Southeast in 2013 and completed an additional certification program for English as a second language in December of 2021. Ms. Kovacs currently serves as a teacher in Jefferson County Public Schools, is a resident and is not Kentucky resident and is not pursuing certification in the state of Indiana. Ms. Kovacs has taken and passed the Praxis 2 assessment required by Kentucky, and she is requesting that the EPSB waive the requirement of possessing the equivalent certification in Indiana and issue her English as a second language endorsement.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Ms. Gunn, what was the recommendation from the Waiver Committee?
The Waiver Committee reviewed the waiver request and supporting documentation submitted by the applicant. The committee found exceptional circumstances justifying the waiver. Therefore, the committee recommends that the EPSB grant the waiver.
Thank you, Ms. Gunn. Do I have a motion?
Sarah Weedman, I motion to approve.
Thank you, Ms. Weedman. Is there a second?
Second.
Amber Snell, second.
I think I heard Dr. Ellis first. Thank you, Dr. Ellis. The motion before the board is to approve the waiver equivalent certification requirement for out-of-state prepared educator Lauren Kovacs. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Chesser, please call the roll.
Diane Berry,
Diane Berry, approve.
Elijah Edwards,
Elijah Edwards, approve.
Amanda Ellis,
Amanda Ellis, approve.
Kathy Gunn,
Kathy Gunn, approve.
Jacqueline Mayfield,
Jacqueline Mayfield, approve.
Corinne Murphy,
Corinne Murphy, approve.
Meredith Pittman,
Meredith Pittman, approve.
Amber Snell,
Amber Snell, approve.
Jillian Vasquez Heilig,
Julian Vasquez Heilig, approve.
Vice Chair Weedman,
Sarah Weedman, approve.
Chair Mitchell.
Justin Mitchell, approve.
Voting is complete.
Thank you. Next, we have waiver E.
Waiver E, also a request for waiving 16 KAR 4:030 for Ms. Tina Watson. Ms. Watson completed her master's in educational leadership principal prep program at Park University in Missouri in 2011. However, she never applied for the equivalent principal certification in Missouri. She was a resident in Indiana before moving to Kentucky and applying for Kentucky teacher certification in 2017. She has been employed in the Jefferson County Public Schools and has served in various leadership roles, however, none requiring principal certification. Now, Ms. Watson is seeking opportunity or would like to seek opportunities for a principal position. She has passed the school leaders licensure assessment in April and obtained a recommendation from the licensure official at Park University indicating she completed the principal prep certification program in 2011. Ms. Watson is requesting that the EPSB waive the requirement of possessing the equivalent certification in Missouri and issue the principal statement of eligibility for Kentucky.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Ms. Gunn, what was the recommendation from the Waiver Committee?
The Waiver Committee reviewed the waiver request and supporting documentation supplied by Ms. Watson. The committee found exceptional circumstances justifying the waiver. Therefore, the Waiver Committee recommends that the EPSB grant the waiver.
Thank you, Ms. Gunn. This time I will need a motion on waiver E.
Elijah Edwards, I make the motion to approve the waiver.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. Is there a second?
Sarah Weedman.
I think I heard Ms. Weedman as the second. Thank you for that. At this time, the motion before the board is to approve the waiver for Tina Watson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Chesser, please call the roll.
Diane Barry,
Diane Barry, approve.
Elijah Edwards,
Elijah Edwards, approve.
Amanda Ellis,
Amanda Ellis, approve.
Kathy Gunn,
Kathy Gunn, approve.
Jacqueline Mayfield,
Jacqueline Mayfield, approve.
Corinne Murphy,
Corinne Murphy, approve.
Meredith Pittman,
Meredith Pittman, approve.
Amber Snell,
Amber Snell, approve.
Jillian Vasquez Halig,
Julian Vasquez Heilig, approve.
Vice Chair Weedman,
Sarah Weedman, approve.
Chair Mitchell.
Justin Mitchell, approve.
Voting is complete.
Thank you, and the motion passes. Next, we have waiver F.
Waiver F is for Douglas LaRue, KRS 161.1211 sets the standards for rank 1 with 16 KAR 8:010 requiring the completion of approved graduate level credit or approved equivalent for issuance of rank 1. Mr. LaRue currently holds a rank 2 in secondary social studies. In addition to his master's in secondary education that resulted in his initial certification in 2021, he recently completed a Master of Business Administration from William Carey University. Mr. LaRue has provided a detailed rationale demonstrating how the coursework in his degree meets Kentucky academic standards for social studies. He is requesting that the EPSB approve his degree for rank 1 due to the applied relevance in the social studies classroom.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Ms. Gunn, what is the recommendation from the Waiver Committee?
After some discussion, the Waiver Committee reviewed the waiver request submitted by the applicant, and the committee found exceptional circumstances justifying the waiver. Therefore, the committee recommends that the EPSB grant the waiver.
Thank you, Ms. Gunn. Do I have a motion for waiver F?
Elijah Edwards, I make the motion to approve the waiver.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. Is there a second?
Diane Barry, second.
Thank you, Ms. Berry. The motion before the board is to approve the waiver for Douglas LaRue. Is there any discussion?
I just wanted to quickly add that there was a little discussion during the committee meeting about the amount of economics involved in social studies and whether or not his comparison was adequate. And we agreed that it was.
Thank you for that. And thank you for the Waiver Committee for all of your work today. Any other discussion at this time? All right, hearing none. Ms. Chesser, please call the roll.
Diane Barry,
Diane Barry, approve.
Elijah Edwards,
Elijah Edwards, approve.
Amanda Ellis,
Amanda Ellis, approve.
Kathy Gunn,
Kathy Gunn, approve.
Jacqueline Mayfield,
Jacqueline Mayfield, approve.
Corinne Murphy,
Corinne Murphy, approve.
Meredith Pittman,
Meredith Pittman, approve.
Amber Snell,
Amber Snell, approve.
Julian Vasquez, Heilig,
Julian Vasquez Heilig, approve.
Vice Chair Weedman,
Sarah Weedman, approve.
Chair Mitchell.
Justin Mitchell, approve.
Voting is complete.
Thank you, Ms. Chester, and the motion passes. We have 3 alternative routes to certification applications. These applicants are pursuing the option 1 exceptional work experience route to certification. This is one of the alternative routes established by the legislature in KRS 161048. An applicant with exceptional work experience must have an offer of employment from a local school district, a bachelor's or graduate degree meeting the minimum GPA requirements, and an academic major or a passing score on the academic content assessment in the area in which certification is being sought. The board will need to determine if the applicant's work experience constitutes exceptional work experience. The applications will be presented by Mr. Davis.
Thank you, Chair Mitchell. Alternative route A is for Miss Valerie Bailey. Scott County Public Schools has submitted an application and portfolio for Miss Bailey. The district is requesting that the EPSB approve her application for certification in the area of chemistry grades 8 through 12. Ms. Bailey has over 12 years of industry experience in the field of chemistry, working for Procter & Gamble and biotech laboratories. She has received over 9 U.S. patents developing in new technologies in the field, and her experiences have been in research and development labs. Ms. Bailey holds a major in the area in which she is seeking certification and is not required to take the praxis content assessment. The application and portfolio are included under separate cover.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. At this time, I will need a motion.
Meredith Pittman, I make a motion.
Thank you, Ms. Pittman. Do I have a second?
Jacqueline Mayfield, second.
Thank you, Ms. Mayfield. The motion before the board is to approve Valerie Bailey's application to the alternative route. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Chester, please call the roll.
Diane Berry,
Diane Berry, approve.
Elijah Edwards,
Elijah Edwards, approve.
Amanda Ellis,
Amanda Ellis, approve.
Kathy Gunn,
Kathy Gunn, approve.
Jacqueline Mayfield,
Jacqueline Mayfield, approve.
Corinne Murphy,
Corinne Murphy, approve.
Meredith Pittman,
Meredith Pittman, approve.
Amber Snell,
Amber Snell, approve.
Julian Vasquez Heilig,
Julian Vasquez Heilig, approve.
Vice Chair Weedman,
Sarah Weedman, approve.
Chair Mitchell.
Justin Mitchell, approve.
Voting is complete.
Thank you, and the motion passes. Next, we have application B.
Alternative route B is for Miss Abby O'Connell. Newport Independent Schools submitted an application and portfolio for Miss O'Connell. The district is requesting the PSB approve her application and certification in the area of school media librarian grades K through 12. Miss O'Connell has over 6 years of experience in the field of library science and the promotion of literacy. She has served as a tutor and literacy interventionist to ELL students through in-school and after-school programs. She has also served as a team librarian in which she researched local resources available and pulled those resources together, making them available to her students in the learning environments. Ms. O'Connell holds a major in the area in which she is seeking certification and is not required to take the praxis content assessment. The application and portfolio are included under separate cover.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. At this time, is there a motion on the floor?
Elijah Edwards, I motion to approve the waiver.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. Is there a second?
Corinne Murphy, second.
Thank you, Dr. Murphy. The motion before the board is to approve the alternative route application for Ivy O'Connell. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Chesser, please call the roll.
Diane Barry,
Diane Barry, approve.
Elijah Edwards,
Elijah Edwards, approve.
Amanda Ellis,
Amanda Ellis, approve.
Kathy Gunn,
Kathy Gunn, approve.
Jacqueline Mayfield,
Jacqueline Mayfield, approve.
Corinne Murphy,
Corinne Murphy, approve.
Meredith Pittman,
Meredith Pittman, approve.
Amber Snell, Amber Snell,
Amber Snell, approve.
Julian Vasquez Heilig,
Julian Vasquez Heilig, approve.
Vice Chair Weidman,
Sarah Weidman, approve.
Chair Mitchell.
Justin Mitchell, approve.
Voting is complete.
Thank you, and the motion passes. Last, we have application C.
Alternative route C is for Miss Emily Harrison. Scott County Public Schools submitted an application and portfolio for Miss Harrison and is requesting the EPSB approve her application and certification in the area of English grades 8 through 12. Ms. Harrison has over 6 years of experience in the area of English and language arts as a graduate teaching assistant, associate, and researcher with the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. She has held various roles within the English department. Ms. Harrison has served as a part-time English instructor with UT Knoxville and has served in multiple committees, often lending her skills in writing, editing, and researching for multiple publications. Ms. Harrison's personal achievements, including receiving numerous fellowship awards by UT Knoxville and serving on or coordinating multiple committees and conferences. Ms. Harrison holds a major in the area in which she seeks certification and is not required to take the Praxis content assessment. The application and portfolio are included under separate cover.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Is there a motion at this time?
Elijah Edwards, I make the motion to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. Is there a second?
Amanda Ellis, second.
Thank you, Dr. Ellis. The motion before the board is to approve the alternative route application for Emily Harris. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Chesser, please call the roll.
Diane Barry,
Diane Barry, approve.
Elijah Edwards,
Elijah Edwards, approve.
Amanda Ellis,
Amanda Ellis, approve.
Kathy Gunn,
Kathy Gunn, approve.
Jacqueline Mayfield,
Jacqueline Mayfield, approve.
Corinne Murphy,
Corinne Murphy, approve.
Meredith Pittman,
Meredith Pittman, approve.
Amber Snell, Amber Snell,
Amber Snell, approve.
Julian Vasquez Heilig,
Julian Vasquez
Amber
Heilig.
Snell, approve.
Julian Vasquez Heilig,
Julian Vasquez Heilig, approve.
Vice Chair Weidman,
Sarah Weidman, approve.
Chair Mitchell.
Justin Mitchell, approve.
Voting is complete.
Thank you, and the motion passes. I will now open the floor to any board member for board comments. Does anyone have anything they wish to share? All right, last call.
Okay, twisting my arm. Two quick things. I think one on the emergency certifications earlier in the conversation. I really hope that the Commonwealth can think about ways that not only we can train new teachers, uphold the standards of the profession as you talked about, Chair, but also ensure that we can retain teachers in the classroom. Second thought, I want to give you some good news because that's probably a bucket of cold water. The College of Education at Kentucky, we've doubled our enrollment in 3 years, and we've increased diversity by 53%. And we will probably have somewhere between 100 and a little more than 100 new teacher educators enrolled. If you want to check out, the Courier-Journal wrote a little bit about this last week. So there is some good news. And I know my colleagues have some good news too across the state. So, the teaching profession, we have momentum. I think young people are interested in leaving a legacy as educators. Of course, not all teacher education programs are going gangbusters, but we're so proud to be upholding our commitment to the Commonwealth.
Absolutely. There are great things happening at University of Kentucky, and I know at Western Kentucky University as well. So thank you for all of your work and leadership for doing that and getting more educators into the pipeline. Anyone else have anything they'd like to share at this time? All right. Well, at this time, I believe we are ready to go into closed session pursuant to KRS 61810(1)C and J to conduct a character and fitness review and to review potential actions relating to complaints and reports. The board will also review pending litigation. I will need a motion to go into closed session.
Motion to go into private session.
Thank you, Ms. Berry. Is there a second?
Jacqueline Mayfield, I second.
Thank you, Ms. Mayfield. The motion now before the board is a motion to go into closed session. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Chesser, please call the roll.
Diane Berry,
Diane Berry, approve.
Elijah Edwards,
Elijah Edwards, approve.
Amanda Ellis,
Amanda Ellis, approve.
Kathy Gunn,
Kathy Gunn, approve.
Jacqueline Mayfield,
Jacqueline Mayfield, approve.
Corinne Murphy,
Corinne Murphy, approve.
Meredith Pittman,
Meredith Pittman, approve.
Amber Snell,
Amber Snell, approve.
Jillian Vasquez Heilig,
Julian Vasquez Heilig, approve.
Vice Chair Weidman,
Sarah Weidman, approve.
Chair Mitchell.
Justin Mitchell, approve.
Voting is complete.
Thank you. Thank you. We are now back in open session. At this time, we will vote on those items discussed during closed session. Character and fitness, 1 through 34, approve. 35, deny. 36, defer. 37 through 40, approve. For CA4 online character and fitness, 1 through 3, approve. 4, deny. 5 through 13, approve.
Justin, I'm so sorry. We have to make those conditional approvals if that's your all's decision.
We do. You will have to help me, though. I did not mark it on, I think there were like 3 or 4. I'm so sorry.
Number 4 and number 15.
Conditional 4 and 15 of character and fitness.
Yes, that's what you all had discussed.
Were there any other ones? Sorry about that. Let me just rewind and start from the beginning, if that's okay. Character and fitness, 1 through 3, approve. Number 4, approve conditionally. 5 through 14, approve. 15, approve conditionally. 16 through 34, approve. 35, deny. 36, defer. 37 through 40, approve. For CA4, online character and fitness, 1, approve. 2 and 3, approve. 4, deny. 5 through 13, approve. For agreed orders, we have 1 through 13, accept. For motions to reconsider, 1, we have deny. For educator cases, 1 through 13, admonish. 14, defer for training, confidentiality training. 15, attorney review. 16, admonish. 17 through 33, attorney review. 34, admonish. 35 through 41, attorney review. 42, dismiss with prejudice. 43 through 46, attorney review. 47, defer for training, ethics training. 48 through 51, attorney review. 52, dismiss with prejudice. 53 through 58, attorney review. 59, defer for training, social media training. 60 through 67, attorney review. 68, dismiss with prejudice. 69, attorney review. 70 and 71, dismiss with prejudice. 72 through 74, attorney review. 75, dismiss with prejudice. 76 through 79, attorney review. 80, defer for training, red book training. 81 and 82, attorney review. 83, dismiss with prejudice. 84 through 98, attorney review. 99, dismiss with prejudice. 100, attorney review. 101, dismiss with prejudice. 102 through 110, attorney review. 111, defer for training, OEA recommended training. 112, dismiss with prejudice. 113 and 114, OEA or defer for training, OEA recommended training. 115, attorney review. 116 through 119, dismiss with prejudice. 120 through 126, defer for training, administrative code training. 127 through 129, dismiss with prejudice. 130, defer for training, admin code training. 131, dismiss with prejudice. 132 and 133, defer for training, admin code training. 134, dismiss with prejudice. 135, defer for training, admin code training. 136 through 138, dismiss with prejudice. 139, defer for training, admin code training. 140 and 141, dismiss with prejudice. 142, defer for training, admin code training. 143, dismiss with prejudice. 144 through 146, defer for training, admin code training. 147 through 151, dismiss with prejudice. 152, defer for training, admin code training. 153, dismiss with prejudice. 154 and 155, defer for training, admin code training. 156 and 57, dismiss with prejudice. 158, defer for training, admin code training. 159 through 165, refer to hearing. 166 through 170, dismiss with prejudice. 171, no further action. 172 through 177, dismiss with prejudice. 178 through 184, attorney review. 185, dismiss with prejudice. 186 and 187, attorney review. At this time, we will vote on those items. And I believe, Ms. Sharp, if you will call the roll.
We're having some technical difficulties. Just 1 second.
No worries.
Unmute so they can hear me through yours. Okay, sorry about that. Diane Berry.
Diane Berry, yes to all.
Elijah Edwards.
Elijah Edwards, agree on all.
Kathy Gunn.
Kathy Gunn, I want to abstain from number 57 and 68 and agree on all else.
Kathy, can you repeat?
Yes, I'm abstain or recuse myself from 57 and 68 and agree on all others.
Meredith Pittman.
Meredith Pittman, agree on all.
Amber Snell.
Amber Snell, agree on all.
Vice Chair Weidman.
Sarah Weidman, I recuse myself from 57 and agree on all other orders.
Chair Mitchell.
Justin Mitchell, approve on all.
Voting is complete.
Did Ms.
think-
Murphy have?
Corinne Murphy.
Yeah, Dr. Murphy needs to vote as well, Leah.
I apologize. Corinne Murphy.
Corinne Murphy, I agree on all.
Voting is complete.
Thank you, and the motion passes. At this time, I will need a motion to adjourn.
Elijah Edwards, motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. Do I have a second?
Amber Snell, second.
Thank you, Ms. Snell. Motion before the board is a motion to adjourn. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Sharp, please call the roll.
Diane Berry.
Diane Berry, approve.
Elijah Edwards.
Elijah Edwards, approve.
Kathy Gunn.
Kathy Gunn, approve.
Corinne Murphy.
Corinne Murphy, approve.
Meredith Pittman.
Meredith Pittman, approve.
Amber Snell.
Amber Snell, approve.
Vice Chair Weidman.
Sarah Weidman, approve.
Chair Mitchell.
Justin Mitchell, approve.
Voting is complete.
All right, and we are adjourned.